Utopians, per Wojnarowski right now, we're hearing that Joel Embiid has a flap in his right knee that's going to require him to miss a significant amount of time this year. Philadelphia, let's get right to it. I'm not quite impressed even before this injury with their chances of winning a championship, and they're definitely in championship or bust mode. They have maximized and stretched their salary cap as much as humanly possible in terms of financial economic status, with Daryl Morey at the helm after relieving Elton Brand of his responsibility, which didn't come from a lack of effort. They've tried every type of role player next to Joel Embiid, or co-anchor, I should say. You know, whether it was Ben Simmons, Jimmy Butler, who's now gone to 2 NBA finals since the trade, and then you also look at James Harden. It's almost like Luka in Dallas. You know, Dennis Smith Jr. was one thing. Then, you know, you had Jalen Brunson, but he chose to leave, which was kind of eyebrow raising because you made all the way to the Western Conference Finals. Then you get a Porzingis, and for whatever reason, that didn't work. We could have swore that was supposed to be the next 1-2 punch. And then to finalize it all, now you're looking at Kyrie, and it's looking like Dallas is going to be a first-round exit. It's a very similar type of situation. And, you know, they bring in Nick Nurse, who I've always had my questions about, but at the end of the day, he won a championship. I don't think it was quite fair how Dwayne Casey, Coach of the Year, was dealt with. He won head coach. He won champion. Like I said, he was Coach of the Year. I felt like he deserved at least 1 year with Kawhi. They immediately sent him on his way after they sent DeRozan on his way for Kawhi Leonard, and then they go and win a chip with Lowry, Van Fleet, Siakam, Mark Gasol. I mean, he had all the weapons he needed in order to really do what he had to do. And then after he left, they didn't really experience much postseason success afterwards. Subsequently, upon his departure to the Clippers, and the same thing can be said now in Philadelphia after relieving Doc Rivers of his duty. I don't really quite think, and I'm not a fan of Doc at all, but I'm just saying, they can't rebuild with him. I feel like, in a sense, Nick Nurse's mission in terms of what he was brought in to do, a lot of times when a fan base he goes back to Sam Hinkie era, when they in 2013, where they were just completely terrible to the point where the NBA was investigating the tank job in order to get Ben Simmons and Embiid. This franchise, the fans have grown fond of him, obviously, and so you bring in a guy who has the championship resume and say, look, we are in our last ditch effort to try to show you we're trying to win with him, and it's showing that they can't after having to move off of James Harden strong arming his way out of there this summer. They've tried every variation in their lineup, and it's become abundantly clear that it's just they've hit at the end of the road. And what's going to add insult is Paul Reed is the interim backup big man who's had monster games. In fact, I think in 22 or 23, when it was that Joel Embiid won MVP last year, he missed a game against Boston in the playoffs, and it was Paul Reed who started, and they won that playoff game and then got whooped out of the playoffs in the first round against Boston last year. So it's not like this team is not going to play faster. The spacing isn't going to be better. So they could very well, like a lot of times you see in Ja left, and teams that don't have superstars but a lot of very well-rounded players can go on, big win streaks, reminiscent of what happened with Memphis with Ja Morant and winning 20-something games. Yao Ming got injured before, and the Rockets, I think, made it all the way to the second round with Shane Battier and Ron Artest as the leaders. I mean, you see this all the time. You don't have enough to win in the playoffs, but you can definitely, because you got to have a go-to guy in the crunch time, but you can definitely win in the regular season. And if Philly does that and they get bounced in the first round, what difference does it make when last year they had James Harden and Joel and still got bounced in the first? So this is a big-time disaster. All right, Utopians, I don't want to keep you too long. I'm going to try to do better next time. Thanks for this little think piece, and I hope I added a little bit of substantive information in your life. Cheers.